In the last video we discussed mole to mole problems, and I said there's going to be three types of problems, and the next type is mass to mass. Okay, so mass to mass. So let's see what a mass to mass problem looks like, and I want you again to copy this. So we'll use the same equation. N2 plus H2 yields NH3, and that's N2 plus 3H2 yields 2NH3 balanced. And here's what a mass to mass problem looks like. I have 3 grams of nitrogen. How many grams of hydrogen do I need? Okay, so the reason we call this mass to mass is because, well, it should be obvious, but we're talking about mass here. We're not talking about moles at this point. We're talking about mass. So we're talking about grams. Okay, so if you see grams in here, then you know you're going to have to convert from grams to moles first. But I want you to notice something before we talk about any of that. The heart of a mass to mass problem is the exact same as your mole to mole problem. Look, there is the mole to mole problem right there. It's the same type of problem. Right in the middle of it is the mole to mole problem. Let's go back and look. Look, there's your mole to mole problem right there. You see that? 2 moles of N2, 3 to 1. And here this is the same thing. Blank moles of N2 has a 3 to 1 ratio. Okay, it's the same problem. The only thing you're doing is on either side of it, you're converting from mass, in this case, 3 grams of nitrogen. Okay, so you're converting from 3 grams of nitrogen into moles. And how do you do that? You have to use molar mass. Okay, but again, just look at this now. It's the same problem you just learned, except there's a step on either side of it. Okay, there's a step on either side. So you're converting from grams of nitrogen to moles. So you have to use the molar mass of N2. And the molar mass of N2 is 28, oops, that's not right, 28 point whatever grams per 1 mole. I think it might be 28.02 or something like that. But either way, I'm just going to use 28 now for simplicity. Okay? Then I use my mole to mole ratio. And let's go ahead and cancel out so that we can see what units we're in. Grams cancels. Moles cancels. Also N2 cancels. Hey, did you notice what I did? I canceled N2 all the way over here. Can I do that? Yeah, of course I can. One moment, the lights went out again. Okay, so now what unit am I in? I'm in the units of moles of H2. After I cancel everything out, my units are moles of H2. So what do I have to do? I got to convert from that moles of H2 into grams. And that's my final step. Okay, that's my final step, converting from moles of H2 into grams. And how do I do that? I look on the periodic table and I plug in molar mass of H2. 2.02 grams per 1 mole. Okay, and now I can cancel out moles. I'm now, and look at my units. I'm in grams here. Look, I'm in grams of H2. That's my units. That's the only thing that's left over. So now I can do my math, and I can say 3. Let me see if I can get it so there's no light on here. Okay, 3 times 1. Let me do it like this. Like this. 3 times 1 over 28 times 3 over 1, which is just 3, times 2.02 over 1, which is just 2.02. Okay, so now I got 4 steps here, but if you break it down logically, it's really not that difficult. And my final answer is 0.649. I can round it to, I'll round it to 2 sig figs, 0.65. 0.65, and what are my units? Grams of H2. Okay, that's a mass to mass problem. That's as difficult as it's going to get on the test. Okay, it's not going to get any more difficult than that. Now, you might be given the equation, the formula rather, the equation in English, and you'll be asked as a word problem to translate it to chemistry. Okay, then balance, and then solve. You might be given something like that. Let's look at the next one. Okay, this is also a mass-to-mass problem. In this case, let's look and see what's different with this one. They're asking us about the product now. They're saying how many grams of H2 were needed to make 15.2 grams of product. 15.2 grams of NH3. And sure, you can do that. With these ratios, any of them can be combined into any, they can all be combined is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? So I can ask, hey, how many grams do I need of this do I need to make that? Or I have X amount of grams of this, how many grams of that did I need to make it? Okay? But the same basic procedure is used to solve all of these. You start with 15.2 grams of NH3 and write that out as your given. 15.2 grams of NH3, and write out NH3 so you don't get lost. I'm going from grams of NH3 to moles, right? So I can say moles, and then I'm going from moles of NH3 to moles of hydrogen, H2. Moles of NH3 to moles of hydrogen. And then finally, from moles of hydrogen, to grams. Okay? So, grams of NH3 to moles, then to moles of H2, then to grams of H2. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that. 1 mole of NH3 has a molar mass of 17.03, I believe. 17.03. Let me double check that. Okay, it's 17.04, but 17.03 is fine. Okay, either one. We're only off by 100th. Okay, now my mole of H2 to my moles of NH3, to NH3 is a 3:2 ratio. Okay, so look, I'm going to put that 3 next to moles of H2. And there's 2 moles of NH3. It's a 3:2 ratio. And lastly, my grams of my molar mass of H2. So 2.02 grams of H2 per 1 mole. Per 1 mole. And let's go ahead and cancel everything out. That cancels that. This cancels that. My NH3 cancels. My moles cancels. And I'm left in grams of H2. Let me double check my work. How many grams of H2 were needed? So I know I'm going to get the right answer here. And I'll do my math. Ready? We'll say 15.2. Let's do it like this. 15.2 times 1 over 17.03 times a 3:2 ratio, and times 2.02 for a grand total of 2.70 grams were needed. 2.70 grams of H2 were needed to make 15.2 grams of NH3. Okay, and that's how you do mass to mass. Okay, just remember, when you see these problems, categorize them either mole to mole, mass to mass, or the last one I said was volume at STP, which really, for volume at STP, all you're going to do, they're going to tell you something like, I've got 2.3 moles of hydrogen, how many liters at STP did I have? And you just multiply it times 22.4 liters per mole. That's all you have to do for that. I'll probably make a short video on that, or we'll do it for warm-up or something like that. Okay, and that's how you solve these. They're pretty much all solved the same way.